Come on. Do I sound like I'm joking? Do I sound like I'm playing? When you look into my eyes, you understand what I'm saying? Let me say it to you slowly, and it may sound scandalous. I don't think that you can handle this.
You know, I'm usually bad with the little banners there. This time I think I jumped it a little bit quick. Let me just put this back here one more time. Because don't in your life take the Jets. Okay, now I'm a little bit more satisfied. Now, Sunday Night Football. The 4-4 Indianapolis Colts are heading to Minnesota to face the 5-2 Minnesota Vikings. The Vikings are 6-point favorites, and the projected total is 45.5 points. That means Vegas is telling us that the Indianapolis Colts will score 19 3/4, while the Vikings score 25 3/4. As far as injuries, again, we're recording early. It's kind of futile to look that far into the future, but there is one major injury that maybe somebody's getting healthy. TJ Hawkinson may finally return for this game. Mike Steph, what do you think about the Colts versus the Vikings? Who you got?
I forgot about him. When you said Hawkinson, I was like, Hawkinson? Was he on Detroit? Oh, yeah, that's right. He went to the Vikings for the last year or so. Oh, wow. Damn. Shoot. Anyway, the Colts have a dilemma on their hands. They really do have a dilemma. They have a quarterback who they've been trying to develop and mold, who has an amazing amount of raw talent, but that's also unfortunately injury prone and inaccurate as hell. Like Anthony Richardson is completing 44% of his throws with 4 touchdowns and 7 interceptions. His coach Shane Steichen has not given any indication on whether he's sticking with him or going back to old faithful, old Joe Flacco, who in his time as Colts quarterback has 7 touchdowns and 1 interception while completing 65% of his passes. But more importantly than that, keeping the offense functioning as it should, and that's been under Joe Flacco. Now, this is the couple of questions I have to ask. Is it fair to Jonathan Taylor, to Pittman, to Downs, to Pierce, for them to put their bodies and their stats on the line for someone who pulled himself out the game last Sunday due to fatigue? Like these running wide receivers aren't doing sprint drills up and down the field because what's the point? He's not gonna. He doesn't hit them. They're doing outs. They're running so much. I mean, what about the offensive line? Do they get me out, coach? And you had the audacity, not even the fact that you did it during the game, fine, but you had the audacity to go up to the podium and tell them, like, yeah, shoot, I was doing all that running. I was tired. Well, guess what? You're quarterback. Maybe if you stood your ass in the pocket and just delivered the ball, you wouldn't be out of breath, would you? Sorry. That'll be bleeped out, hopefully. Now, with all that emotion, this team is actually standing 4-4. Their record is 4-4, and they're still in the hunt in the AFC. A testament to the coaching and the heart of the rest of the team for a second year in a row. Now, as for the Vikings are losing 2 straight, and it looks like the glass slippers are falling off, at least to me. Sam Darnold is doing Sam Darnold things. This defense is slowly becoming exposed as a one-trick pony, in my opinion. Yeah, they're first in the league with 12 picks. Yeah, they're 4th in the league with 23 sacks. But have they gotten the stops that they need, that they truly need in clutch time of the games lately? No. They got carved out by Matthew Stafford and Puka Nacua last week. You got burnt to a crisp by that combination. Now, if Flacco starts, do you really think that he's going to have any type of conscience and he's not going to be throwing bombs over Baghdad? Now, for the actual pick, Minnesota -6 over the Colts. I think Minnesota is going to win. Well, I'll preface it like this, so I give myself an out. If Anthony Richardson starts this game, Minnesota will win. If Joe Flacco starts this game, it will be in doubt. Either way, I don't believe Minnesota is going to cover that spread. So I would say Indianapolis +6 over under. I'll go under.
I think the key that you brought up is the dilemma between Anthony Richardson and Joe Flacco. The team has gone 3-2 in their last 5, but we're 2-1 with Flacco starting. They're definitely a better team right now with Flacco as opposed to Anthony Richardson. But they also knew Anthony Richardson was a project when they drafted him. This should be a second year, but last year was basically redshirted because he got injured so early in the season. Like you mentioned, he has 44% completion percentage. Last week was actually worse. He was 10 for 32, which is about a 31%. I still think that they have to make a decision. At 4-4, they're right in the playoff hunt. Do they go for the playoff this year, or do they try to build their franchise quarterback? Me personally, I worry about the franchise quarterback as opposed to really worrying about making the playoff and getting kicked out in the first round this year. But that's just me. On Minnesota side, they've lost their last 2, as Mike Steph pointed out. What Mike Steph didn't point out was the game before that, they beat the Jets, but only by 6 points. And maybe that was the beginning of the signs that Minnesota was falling apart. Minnesota, the last 3 weeks have been lit up by number 1 wide receivers. But if Richardson is quarterbacking, do the Colts have a number 1? I mean, you can question if Michael Pittman or Josh Downs are number 1s anyway, but it seems like with Richardson at quarterback, neither one of them are for sure. With that said, I am right with you. 6 points seems a little bit too much for me to take Minnesota, although I think Minnesota will win. So I'm going to go with Indy minus the 6. And I also will go with the over because I think if Flacco starts, they should go over easy. And if Anthony Richardson starts, either he's going to get one of these receivers to act like a number 1, or he's going to throw it to Minnesota, and Minnesota's going to get defense touchdown. So either way, I'm going over.
You're really just pouring the salt. Like I haven't had no bravado this week about my Jets. I've been a very level-headed guy when it comes about my Jets, and you're just taking the knife, which isn't fair. You're a man without a team. You're a man without a rooting interest.
Wait, but last week I did have a team I was rooting for. A team that just cost me $500,000 in Survivor. And you know what that team was? You were wearing that hat.
We're talking things that make you blush, but trust us, it's a must. From awkward to taboo, we're here to guide you through. It don't matter if you're a bit of a prude, it's a Prude Awakening.
Okay, we're moving to Monday Night Football, but just before we run to Monday Night Football, don't take the Jets. Okay, now I feel better. On to Monday Night Football. The 4-4 Tampa Bay Buccaneers are heading to Kansas City to face the undefeated Chiefs. The Chiefs are 8.5-point favorites. The projected total is 44.5 points. That means that Tampa Bay will score 18. The Kansas City Chiefs will score 26.5. Again, a little bit too forward in time to really look at specific injuries for this week, but on Tampa Bay side, we do know a couple of things. One, Mike Evans is out for at least 3 more weeks, and Chris Godwin is out for the season. Like Steph, can the depleted Tampa Bay Buccaneers do any damage against the Chiefs?
The Bucs. Seems like the season is at the brink at this point. They were doing so good. They were flying so high. They're 4-4, but they're losing to 2 straight. But more importantly, the aforementioned Chris Godwin, they've lost for the season, and Mike Evans hobbled per usual. But Baker Mayfield, while having a superb season, is now going to be in a situation where he'll have to fight the temptation not to press due to his compromised skill players that he has left. Now, Tampa Bay, which, like I said, they've been flying high. They're 4th in the league in points at 29.4 points per game, but they're near the bottom 28th to be exact, in points given up at 26.6. The numbers never lie. They are the epitome of a 500 team. As for the Chiefs, speaking of numbers never lying, well, they lie when they're concerning these two-time defending champs. If someone told you that the Chiefs would be 7-0, you'd think Patrick Mahomes is having an MVP caliber season. The receiving core has come into their own. Travis Kelce is having a renaissance year. Well, Mahomes has 8 touchdown passes for 9 interceptions. Kelce only has 1 touchdown for the season, and they're counting on a running back that they got off the street, albeit a former running back it is, but a running back nevertheless that they got off the street in Kareem Hunt. They just acquired DeAndre Hopkins from the Titans, and ground and pound, not so much, but maybe that's not really that far from the truth. The multiple goal line stands they had this past Sunday against the Raiders, and that game was actually closer than people think, because they had a chance to. I mean, if it wasn't for the Raiders doing Raiders things, listen, that outcome could have been different. Regardless, the defense stepped up, and the defense stepped up time and time again, as they have for the last 2 years, to allow the Chiefs to get their win and put the nail in the coffin. So, with all that being said, the over-under, I think I will be going under. For that spread, the Chiefs are going to win, but that spread is just a little bit too large for my liking. So I will go Bucs plus 8.5, over under.
Well, I have to say, originally I was going to agree with exactly what you just said for most of the same reasons. Tampa's, but of course there's a but coming. But the Jets suck. All right. Tampa Bay has lost 2 straight in 3 of their last 4. Earlier in the season, though, they did beat the Lions and the Eagles. On the flip side, Kansas City obviously is undefeated, and they've held their opponents to, I think, a little bit over 17 points a game. And they are particularly good against the run. So originally, like I said, the 8.5 points just seemed like too much for me. But what my problem is I think this game really sets up for Kansas City to finally beat somebody down. And the reason I say that is this. Tampa Bay is wounded as far as passing, which means they're going to have to lean on the run more. But the problem is Kansas City actually dominates against the run on defense, which would force Baker Mayfield to throw more balls, which I think will cause a problem because he's not going to get as much separation with third stringer, fourth stringer wide receivers, which will cause turnovers, which will cause a Kansas City massacre. So I'm taking, even with the 8.5 points, I'm taking Kansas City because I think they're going to win by 13 or more. The over-under is the one that's really bothering me because I feel like Vegas might really have this one set up perfect. I think it's going to be very close to that 44 points. I am going to go over only because I think Kansas City is actually going to score this game for once. They're actually going to score a lot of points.
I can see that, especially Tampa Bay's defense is, has much to be desired. So, I mean, I can see that, but I'm sticking to my guns.
So actually, I like my bet the best, of course, but I think that your bet is a pretty solid alternative if we were doing a little couple parlays there. All right, Mike Steph, take us home and don't get us arrested.
This has been a great edition of Hidden Gems Football. Once again, I'd like to thank each and every one of y'all for viewing and choosing us to be one of the podcasts of your choice, one of the football podcasts of your choice. I don't like patting myself on the back or patting us on the back, but one of our episodes that we dropped last week, I want to say it's probably our most viewed episode ever. We appreciate that. Sure, it's coming out my mouth. It's act like I'm not a humble dude. I'm very humble. We're just going to keep it going strong. And with all that being said, Hidden Gems Football. Yeah. I like the sound of this. It's been popped up! 19 Media Group. Listen, you're going to eat that chicken one of these days.
What jersey that guy got on?
Shut up.
This is a 19 Media Group presentation.
It's a must.
Oh.
Prude Awakening. I swear, I love that song. But their dynamic on screen reminds me of me and you. I think Carmen is more me, and Jess is more you.
I can see that.
Different situation, but yeah, Carmen, yeah, she. the scratches, sniff stickers. I'm like, wow, yeah. That would be something that I probably might think of. Like, yeah, I was feeling that one.
Yeah, well,
it's a must.
There's a spooky haunted house, and it was haunted with a ghost inside. And a little girl came inside and came out. The ghost said, "Boo!" Okay, can I hear that?
And that is the reason I'm angry.